Hey guys, just wanted to make a quick video to go over a few concepts in terms of racing track. I thought it would be helpful to provide just some insight on, racing strategies, how to compete, and how to perform your best. This is going to be very general, pretty basic, but just wanted to provide that. So let's get right into it. Racing track, a quick guide to pacing, competing, and performing your best. So why race? Racing provides an opportunity for athletes to measure their fitness, enjoy competition with like-minded peers, achieve goals that their training has been focused around, and test their mental and physical fortitude in an environment that's conducive to high performance. So the great thing about racing is you get to go out there and basically compete against other people who have similar goals as you. So it's just a really cool, fun thing to do, as you probably know since you're racing already. But that's the why. Now let's talk about some of the how. So some things that we're gonna go over in this quick little video is different pacing strategies just in general, some basic pacing strategies. Pacing strategies for specific races and how things can kind of play out. Habits to form for racing your best, some things to do mid-race, some things to do when you're basically just trying to develop the best habits you can for success, and then how to handle mid-race challenges. So our general pacing strategies kind of look like this. Even splits are where your splits are more or less even throughout the entire race. This is when a race is run pretty much at the goal pace the entire time. So let's say I'm going to use a 5-minute mile as an example for pretty much everything. If I'm trying to run a 5-minute, 1600 technically, if I'm trying to run like 5-minute pace for 4 laps, then even splits, I would just be going 75, 75, 75, 75. Positive splits are where you start faster than you finish. It is typically the most painful way to race because you're putting in more energy up front, putting in more effort up front, and then you have to kind of deal with that in the latter stages of the race. It does have a negative kind of reputation, but is actually sometimes optimal depending on the kind of race you are running. So positive splits, for example, if you were to look at 1500 again, or a mile again, let's say it'd be to get 5 minutes, we're looking at 76, 76, or excuse me, I'm sorry, we're looking at 74, 74, 75, 75, or something like that to get 458. Finally, negative splits are when you finish faster than you start. This is generally considered desirable, but it's easier said than done. A lot of times people will say, oh, just run negative splits. But what they're really asking you to do is to close your race faster than what you've been running. So unless you've been more or less holding back a little bit during the race, running negative splits is going to be pretty challenging. That said, it doesn't mean that it's a bad way to race. In fact, oftentimes it is good because, as we know, running a race, you do have to really manage your effort through that whole time. So here's the general pacing strategies. Let's look at some track racing strategies, or at least some concepts when it comes to that. There's pros and cons to each strategy, whether it's even splits, negative splits, positive splits. Most track races are usually a little bit of a mix of all of those things, right? Depending on how you break it down. I would say it depends a lot on how the race is going, whether it's a tactical race or a fast race. A tactical race would be something like a championship race where people tend to go out a little bit slower, conserve their energy, and then try to be the one with the fastest finish. That, has its pros and cons depending on what kind of shape you're in, how good your kick is, things like that. And then a fast race is going to be paced differently. Usually in a race where people are trying to go for PR or record or something like that, it's going to be pretty much just go, go, go from the gun. Longer distance races usually tend to be a little bit more evenly split or evenly paced, whereas shorter distances can be more mixed or even have positive splits. So it's not uncommon for a 1500 or a mile to be paced in somewhat of a mixed manner. For example, for a 5-minute mile, again, right? It's not uncommon for someone to do like 74 for their first lap, then 76s for their middle 2 laps. And then finally, again, 74 to close fast on that last one to end up at 5 minutes. And then in something like an 800, for example, it's actually more beneficial just because of the energy systems that are being used to get out fast. So typically for an 800, you'll see people with a positive split, and that's normal, right? And it's even the people you see who are having a big kick at the end, they're just slowing down less than the rest of the field. So if you're running a 2-minute 800, for example, you might run something like 59.61 or even 58.62. So overall, you basically just want to have a race plan, but be ready to adapt to what's going on in that race, because every race is different. You never really know exactly how it's going to go. So let's get into some good racing habits that you can have. And you know, these are just a handful. I'm sure there's many more, but here are some of the ones that I feel like most people kind of overlook, or they let slide and then they leave performance on the table. So the first one is to hug the rail and avoid passing on the turn. That's one I see all the time. People get anxious, they feel like they need to go around someone, so they go on the turn. If you run on the turn for the entire 100 meters, that's an extra like 3.5 meters for that turn. If you do it again on that same lap, that's an extra 7 meters that you're running for that lap. And that's about 1 second. If you do that for every turn of a mile, you're adding 28 meters. So, I mean, that can easily be the difference between a PR or not PRing, or even winning and losing. After, added up over, like I said, a mile or 1,500, that's like 5-6 seconds. So make sure that you are staying on the rail when it makes sense to, as long as you're not getting boxed in. And then, of course, be patient when it comes to passing. Just wait until you're on the straightaway to go around someone. The other thing would be to protect your space. So, contrary to popular belief, track is a physical sport, okay? Obviously, we're not going out there and throwing punches or anything like that, or usually that doesn't happen, but track is physical. There's gonna be jostling, especially when people are running close in a pack together. A lot of times people want to have their own space, and they don't have any qualms about, using their body to kind of push you out of the way to get some more space of their own. So you need to be defensive when you are running. Don't be an aggressor, but if someone is moving in on you, stay calm, use your body to fend them off, right? What I like to do is, if I'm running, like I'm in lane 1, right? Someone's coming up to me from lane 2 and they're trying to move in on my space and I'm on the rail, I'm not gonna to full on shove them, but I'm gonna kind of, use my elbow, swing my arm out a little wider, just to kind of be like, hey, I'm here, this is my space, and I'm keeping it. You're not gonna move in on me. If someone comes in, cuts you off, it's honestly okay to put your hand like on their back or something like that, give them a light push, because for one thing, you're stopping both of you guys from falling. But again, it's also a, hey, this is my space, I'm here. Now, of course, if you do a full-on shove, you're probably gonna get called by an official, but overall, like I said, just make sure that you are protecting your space. You want to be aware of your surroundings so that you don't get boxed in, kind of like I was just saying. That is sort of the caveat of hugging the rail, staying on the rails. You're running the shortest distance you can, but there's a chance that you can get stuck behind someone, okay? So in those cases, like I said, just be patient, don't worry too much, go around them when it's not on the turn, if possible. But just be aware of what's going on. If you see someone up there who's starting to slow down, you already got someone in front of you, that's a sign that you might be about to be boxed in, so you might need to make a move quick. And then finally, what I've got written down here is get into the habit of sprinting through the line no matter what. No matter what. No matter how you feel, no matter how bad that race is going, sprint through the line. One, just to create a, we can go back and forth on whether muscle memory is real, but just to create that habit of, I'm always going to finish fast no matter what, so that on your good days, you're going to have it as well. And then 2, The last thing you want to get into the habit of is stopping before the line. That's another thing that's going to be the difference between a PR and not PRing, the difference between winning and losing. So always, always sprint through the line. Plus, you might surprise yourself if you're not feeling great and you make that commitment to I'm going to push through no matter what down that home straight. You might find something deep inside you there that you didn't know was there in the first place. So always do it. And then dealing with challenges. So there's an old saying from Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Now, it's kind of the same thing for running, except punching isn't usually happening, but we could go into a race expecting it to go one way and having it go the totally opposite, right? We could be cut off. We could be tripped. We could, expect the race to go out a lot quicker and it all of a sudden it goes out really slow. Or the opposite, expect the race to go out a lot slower and oh my gosh, it just went out so fast and now we're in the back of the pack. Here's what you do. You have to be ready no matter what. You have to tell yourself that no matter what the circumstance is, you're going to stay in it, you're going to push yourself, and you're going to stay calm, right? If you panic, then just, wave goodbye to a good performance. Because when you're panicking, you're wasting energy, and then you're not making good decisions either. So you have to stay calm, look for the next opportunity to move up, look for the next opportunity to stick on to somebody, and then if you have an opportunity to make a big move, like have a good kick, have a big kick, have, put a gap on the field, put a gap on whatever pack you're with, be decisive with that move. Because most of us get one chance per race to make a big move. One chance. So final thoughts when it comes to this. I want you to think about these things, okay? And like I said, this was a very brief overview. I'm sure there's a lot more we could cover, but just in terms of general preparation for racing. Remember that every race is an opportunity for you to learn. Whether you win or you lose, whether you PR or you don't, it's an opportunity to learn. Cherish the opportunity to push yourself. It's also an opportunity to see what you can do. Recognize how special it is to run a PR and how special it is to win. A lot of runners, excuse me, kind of yawn attack. A lot of runners go into races thinking that if they don't PR, it's a failure. Look, your PR is your PR for a reason. It's literally the best you can do. So if you can go beyond that best, that's a very special thing. It's not something we should expect to happen all the time. So we should cherish it. And then, of course, recognizing how special it is to win. Most people, probably 99% of runners, if not more, never get the opportunity to win a race. So if you're in the position where you can win a race, don't squander that opportunity. And then finally, embrace the challenge and always make sure that you are racing to win, whether that's internal or external. So I know that kind of maybe contradicts what I just said, but everybody can go into the race with the mindset of I'm going to win, whether it is actually winning the race, right? Or whether it's winning an internal battle, right? Whether it's winning to yourself, winning your goals. So go into that race thinking every time I'm going to win today. Okay, and I think that is about it. If you have any questions about racing, feel free to connect with me. But otherwise, best of luck and enjoy it.